The Super Speedway Podcast is a Dream Bigger media production. For news, photos, show notes, and information about advertising on the podcast, visit www.thesuperspeedway.com.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Super Speedway.
Yeah, I got a great idea for everybody. How about we just get rid of the yellow line rule? Nobody really wants to see the races come down to these type of decisions, and I don't think it's going to crash more cars than we crashed today. So, it's kind of frustrating to have to make these decisions. I know NASCAR doesn't want to be put in this position, so let's just get rid of it get rid of it from here on out. Just let these guys race it out, at least in the last few laps. They're going down there below the yellow line anyways. It takes everybody sort of out of the position of having to make these type of calls because it's not fun, but definitely kind of agree with the decision they made as per the rule and how it's written. But we could just get rid of it altogether. It'd be great with me.
Welcome to episode 174 of the Super Speedway Podcast, recorded Wednesday, October 7th, 2020. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, Dale Jr. wants to get rid of the yellow line rule.
NASCAR Jesus has spoken.
Exactly.
Let it be. So it is written, so it shall be. But it's not that easy.
Yeah, probably not this time. So before we get into everything, have you heard Jeff Burton's take on this at all?
I did not hear Jeff Burton's
I didn't
take.
either, and I'm curious because, he sits in the booth there with Junior, but I actually got a tweet from Burton a couple years ago on the yellow line rule because I said it should be gotten rid of, and he followed or replied back that he had been in wrecks that were caused when there wasn't a yellow line rule. He doesn't think it should be eliminated. So I'm curious if his opinion has changed.
Maybe. I don't know.
But I don't know.
I haven't seen anything from old Jeff yet.
He was on Sirius this morning, and I listened to some of it, but I didn't get all of it. I had to drop the kids off at daycare this morning, so I missed a good chunk of it. But
That's great.
yeah. All right. It is the yellow. We're here to recap the Yellowwood 500 from Talladega Super Speedway.
Yellow line rule 500.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a restrictor plate race, well, it's not restrictor plate anymore, but a super speedway race. And so we get to talk about controversy because that's what we do at super speedways anymore. First of all, before we get into the race, Denny Hamlin outlives the carnage and gets himself another win. Just solidifying himself a little bit more there.
Yeah, much needed win for him. It's been a while for Denny. 5 races or so since he last won a race. So
right.
Yeah, he got her done.
Yeah.
So
it's been a long time. It is his 44th victory in 538 Cup Series starts. 7th victory and 19th top 10 finish in 2020, and his 2nd victory at Talladega Super Speedway. And I think I texted you or put in our group chat after it might have been just before the last restart, but I said I think Denny's gonna win this thing. Sure enough,
did.
Yep.
Yeah. I picked my horse. It was William Byron, and he looked pretty good until Denny, used that yellow line. But
right,
we'll get there.
Yeah.
Denny Hamlin, he's the best at these places now. There's no doubt about it. And he played it perfectly. He didn't have to race hard because he's got the points. Harvick did the same thing. But Denny, he knows how to navigate the super speedways better than anybody, and got his way to the front when he needed to, and let the carnage happen in front of him, and then he scooted around it when he had to as well.
So what the hell is the strategy in these races, James? Are you better off hanging in the back? Are you better off racing up front? Because
I don't know if it matters, man.
It seems like the best guys are always the guys that are up there, but they have completely different strategies, and it's just
so weird. Yeah. It just depends on who you're racing around and luck of the draw.
Because Denny wasn't even there till the last restart.
No, I know. He dominated the first stage, and then he just disappeared.
Yeah, that's right.
He just he decided, that's enough. He went out and dominated, and then he pulled back. Harvick was in the back all day.
Right.
And Harvick, Eric Harvick was there late before he got wadded up too. Yep. So yeah, I don't know, man. I can't tell you. Kyle Busch wrecks, 15 times early in the race, and he's still up there running in the top 10 with no fender on the front. You know? So I can't tell you how these guys figure it out and how Denny Hamlin is able to do what he does. I'm amazed by Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano. Those guys always somehow find a way. Denny seems to be on the hot streak right now of getting it done, but those guys amaze me on how they can navigate these places, because it's a moving maze around these cars that are crashing around them all the time. They figure it out.
If Matt DiBenedetto ran the Daytona race a couple weeks ago, like he ran this race, he's in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, this is how DiBenedetto races, and he just didn't race this way in that race. He played it conservative, and it cost him a shot at the playoffs.
Yeah, he'd definitely be further along, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Than where he was. Yeah, he's had a couple of really good races in a row now. I know he doesn't have the finish to show for it in this one, but in my record book, my personal record book, that's a second place finish for that dude.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it then.
Let's do it.
Let's talk yellow line rule. So the end of the race, we got some controversy. Denny Hamlin goes below the yellow line. A lot of takes on this, a lot of places we can go with it. I guess to start with, NASCAR kind of set a precedence in the beginning of the race or early in the race by penalizing Joey Logano twice for forcing somebody below the yellow line. We've not seen, I don't recall, maybe we've had that penalty once, but I don't know that I recall ever seeing that penalized. It's in the rule book, but I don't recall it ever being penalized. But again, they set the precedent early, and they held fast at the end. Hamlin, depending on how you see it, got forced below the yellow line, makes the pass below the yellow line in turn 4 to take the lead and ultimately win, beating Matt DiBenedetto to the line by just inches, and then DiBenedetto ends up relegated back to 21st place.
Yeah,
after they determined that he forced somebody. He forced William Byron, I think, below the yellow line is what happened.
Yeah.
Basically, what it comes down to is NASCAR says that Denny was trying to avoid a wreck, and thus he was okay to go below the yellow line.
There was no wreck.
Yeah, there was no wreck. So, okay, first of all, before we get talking about the yellow line rule, James, what's your thought on this one? Did NASCAR get the call right, or did they screw it up?
I guess by the lay of the land and by the law as it's written, they got it right.
I don't think they did.
I don't know, man. I have a hard time with this. I see the picture of Denny Hamlin 30 feet away from the next closest car, and
right.
I'd say if he was forced, question mark, because I don't know what that is. But
so I got a question for you.
Yeah.
We take that 21 car and we take the 11 car and switch them.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
What call does NASCAR make?
Yeah, well,
I think that DiBenedetto gets penalized. I think he gets penalized either way. And I know I'm talking conspiracy a little bit here, but I think this rule has been enforced. Here's the problem with this rule, and we'll get now as we get into this discussion. The problem with this rule is it's never been enforced consistently, and it always feels like it's enforced based on who they're enforcing the rule on. Because I'll tell you what. Yep. And Dale Jr. talked about on his podcast this week that there's still controversy for his win when he went below the yellow line and won the race at Talladega. But there should be, because he went below the yellow line and won the race, and they didn't penalize him.
Right.
So yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, it is frustrating because it was a really great race on Sunday, and to spend the majority of our time like we will on this issue really does frustrate me because it was a really good show.
Yeah. We'll get back to the show too. I still want to discuss the race, but
but that's what I'm getting to. Is it's like, yeah, we still have to talk about it because it's such a bleep show.
Yep.
For lack of better terminology. Man, Eric, I don't know, man, because I don't know. That was a really exciting last lap. So,
I agree. Okay, so
but I think what you're saying though is, I think you're right, because NASCAR sometimes they dabble in the WWE a little bit, and they pick their guys sometimes, and yeah, I feel bad for Matt DiBenedetto because he was next to tears,
Yeah.
And he deserved better than what he got.
And he gets the gut punch at the 21st place finish.
Yeah, I know. So
okay, so a couple questions. First of all, let's go flat out. Is Dale Jr. right? Should we get rid of this rule?
Yeah, we should get rid of it. Yeah. but that's the easy fix, but we're not going to get it. So we'll have
No,
to.
I mean let's put it this way: the argument behind this is safety,
Yes.
but the problem is that how many cars didn't have damage on Sunday? We already tore up most of the field. How
Oh,
are,
yeah.
how are we going to tear up more cars by not having this rule?
Right.
NASCAR Man on Twitter, and there's a link in the show notes that you can check out at thesuperspeedway.com, has a history of the yellow line rule on Twitter. And this is actually from a few years ago or a couple years ago, not because of this race, but of course everybody's searching for it. So it's been found again this time. And it kind of shows. And I know he doesn't have a whole lot chosen from before the yellow line rule was enacted. There's a lot of stuff after it, showing the different ways it's been enforced. But I don't recall. Okay, I recall after looking at this, I recall one time where the yellow line rule, if it would have been in effect, would have prevented a wreck, and that was Mike Skinner getting turned at, I think, Talladega on the backstretch because they went into the grass.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I don't recall this ever being an issue. This was brought up, this rule was enacted in 2001, and I always thought it was enacted because of the Earnhardt crash, but it wasn't.
I thought it was the Jeff Gordon incident.
Right.
That the lap or the car coming out of the pits.
Right.
I always thought that was the moment.
But that had nothing to do with the yellow line at all because the car came above the yellow line. They never went below it there.
Yeah.
So what it turns out what it was is after Earnhardt's death in 2001, they went back to Talladega. And I guess there was a move in the Busch race back then, Xfinity now, that somebody went way below the yellow line, made a pass. NASCAR got uncomfortable with it. They didn't wreck. It didn't cause an issue. But NASCAR got uncomfortable with it. And, of course, they just lost their, most famous driver. And so everybody was a little gun shy. And they enacted the rule for the race the following day. And we've had the yellow line rule ever since then. So, all right. So we're both in agreement. We should just get rid of this thing. But I think we're both in agreement, too, that NASCAR's not going to.
No,
they're going to be stubborn on this one. They're going to keep this. And so my other argument against getting rid of it or toward getting rid of it is their argument is that there's enough room on the backstretch at Talladega with the asphalt on the inside to run like 20 wide and that these guys are going to run 20 wide going into turn 3 and cause a big wreck. We've got tracks like Pocono in Michigan and California and all these tracks that have wide aprons like this.
Phoenix.
Yeah, no. Well, Phoenix is a different example though, because you're actually cutting the corner.
Yeah, that's extreme example.
But we don't see people making moves like this, and I get that this is pack racing; it's bunched up more, blah blah blah. I just don't.
And blocking is the nature of the beast too.
Right.
So you're gonna use, Eric. If I have $1 million and you're trying to get to my $1 million, and you're trying to run through me. I will push back, across the world to keep you from getting to my $1 million, right?
Yep.
So these drivers, to keep that lead, especially on the last couple of laps, they're going to they're going to climb the wall if they have to. They are going to block as hard as they possibly can. And they're going to use it all. They're going to use every bit of it.
Right.
Give them 1,000 feet, they're going to use 1,000 feet. Give them 5 feet, that's what they're going to use. It doesn't matter.
I don't know. I realize that they get really stupid on these super speedway races, but I think that they're smart enough to realize, they're going to push it going into the corner. They're probably going to come in on the apron and then shoot up the banking, but I don't think they're going to come in down by the wall and try and hit the banking. I think that some common sense is going to come about when this happens, but I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. So, okay, then instead of getting rid of it completely, are you in favor of getting rid of it on the last lap?
Yeah, well, my fix would allow for, I think, I have an idea, and let's do that. Let's do this. Let's do this. I have an idea. So you know how you have when you are going to pit, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a commitment line.
Yep.
Right. Why can't we, instead of having a yellow line rule all the way around the track, why can't we designate a certain space between the start-finish line and turn 1, and the same thing on the backstretch going into turn 3? Because this is really where the problem is, right?
Right.
Going into the corners, right?
Yep.
So why can't we use all the racetrack we have possible and then have a quote unquote commitment line going into the corner? You touch that line going into turn 1, then you got a problem. But by all means, have at it the rest of the track.
But don't we still have the same problem?
I don't know. It's
We
just
just
entering
have it
the
in a
corner.
smaller portion of the track, but we still have the same problem.
But you're just using it entering the corner.
Yeah.
Versus being able, so if somebody's blocking coming out of turn 4, there's no line there. There's no line blocking to the start finish line either. You use the track you got. Same thing out of turn 2 off the backstretch.
Right.
And it can be, I don't know. I know these cars are going pretty fast. Let's say, I don't know. Let's say 500 yards of line or something. Right. That's the commitment section of the track. You stay above that line, going into the corners, and then free for all everywhere else. Decent idea? Yes? No?
No,
Maybe?
I think it's the same problem. I think we have the same issue.
I don't know.
I think you just got to have it a different spot. So here's my deal.
I'm looking at where we had like the Denny Hamlin thing. That's
Right.
not even an issue
Right.
coming out of turn 4.
Right.
You know, coming to line.
Really, that's not where we're concerned. It's not coming out of the turns; it's going into the turns.
Reagan's, for safety, right?
Yep.
If we're talking about this is a safety problem, going into the corners is where it's a problem.
Yep.
Regan Smith and Tony Stewart, or Regan Smith and Tony Stewart. Sorry, I always get that wrong.
I know you do.
Just
like me with JTG Doherty. We're gonna have to talk about them later, and I'm not gonna be able to do it.
Yeah, it's okay. But Smith and Stewart, that's probably the most famous yellow line rule, right? Smith beats Stewart to the line. Tony blocks him down, and Smith loses the race on technicality, right?
Yeah, Regan Smith should be excited about this ruling this weekend because he just got a NASCAR win.
He's trying.
He's got a Cup Series win now. The rule books have been changed. Tony Stewart's down 1 win, and Regan Smith gets 1.
Yeah, well,
he should. Anyway, yeah.
He won that race.
He did
win that race.
He did.
But the record books say otherwise.
Right.
I don't know. That was my fix. Maybe it sounds more complicated than it would in my mind, but you would just have that portion of the track. I don't know. That's just my.
So here's my fix. If we're gonna keep the rule, let's enforce it correctly. Just enforce it the same. First of all, none of us, the media usually is in the drivers' meetings before these races, but because the drivers' meetings are online now, I don't know that that's the case anymore.
Yep.
And so we don't know what was said at the drivers' meeting before this. Maybe NASCAR announced that they were going to make this change and they were going to enforce it differently than they have in the past. I don't even have a problem with them enforcing it differently as long as we're going to stay consistent with it. So I had to do a ton of searching, and I can't guarantee 100% that this is the actual language from the rule book because NASCAR doesn't publish their rule book unless you're a NASCAR member, and I'm not. So, and I've asked as a media member to get access to it and never got an answer. So this is from, I don't remember where I found it. I think it was an NBC article, NBC Sports article from a couple years ago, because guess what? We were talking about the yellow line rule then as well. Here is the language of the actual rule. Vehicles must race above the double yellow lines around the entire racetrack. If, in NASCAR's judgment, the vehicle goes beneath the double yellow lines to improve its position, vehicle will be black flagged. If, in NASCAR's judgment, a vehicle forces another vehicle beneath the double yellow lines in an effort to stop the advancement pass, the vehicle may be black flagged. NASCAR defines beneath the double yellow line as follows: when the vehicle's left side tires are beneath the left line of the inside double yellow lines that separates the apron from the racing surface while passing another vehicle. So Here's the deal. If you go below the yellow line, NASCAR will black flag you. If you force somebody to below the yellow line, NASCAR may black flag you. Yep. Based on that, and I know this makes it even worse from a fan standpoint, based on that, Denny Hamlin should have been black flagged and Matt DiBenedetto should have been black flagged. That's the proper enforcement of this rule, and it was not enforced properly.
Not Chase Elliott then, because he got his reversed as well.
I haven't gone back and looked at the replay on what happened to Chase Elliott, so I can't comment on that.
I want to fight in NASCAR on one more thing on this.
Yeah.
So this is all about safety, right?
Right.
The one guy who did this whole thing correctly. Do you remember this incident, Eric?
I do actually. I know exactly where you're going.
Brad Keselowski didn't give it up, and you know what happened? Fans got hurt.
Yep. We had a car.
Fans got hurt because Carl Edwards went into the fence.
Yep.
And people got hurt. So
I can guarantee
how safe is it really?
You could go back, and I can guarantee you that you can find more accidents that were caused by this rule than accidents that were prevented by this rule.
Yeah.
Period.
And I applaud that Brad Keselowski move because he's
It happened after Regan Smith. He knew if
Yeah.
he went below the yellow line, he'd lose the race.
And as a rookie, a part-time rookie, Brad Keselowski had the wherewithal in that moment to stay there.
Yep.
And not give it up.
Yep. And he
And,
was a
turned
NASCAR
out
winner
to
as a
be-
result.
Yeah, one of the craziest wrecks we'll ever see at Talladega. Carl Edwards flying through the air like a top.
Yep.
So how safe is it really, Eric? That's the that's my
Exactly.
big pushback on NASCAR.
Exactly. I mean,
So.
we had a driver get hurt at Daytona in 500. That had nothing to do with the yellow line rule. I mean, this stuff's dangerous. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just in favor of fewer rules to have to enforce. I mean, it's
Less
just
gray areas.
Yeah.
Less gray areas.
yeah, exactly.
You shouldn't have a maybe rule.
No, exactly.
Either it is or it isn't. It's a ball. It's not like baseball, right? Every ball in the strike is kind of a gray area.
Right.
They try to call it correctly. And this isn't that. This is
No, there's
we
there is a line painted on the track and we have
know.
replays. There is no way that you could get this wrong, but they managed to do it constantly.
Right. Every time. Yeah, I know.
But
I know.
again, if the roles are reversed, Matt DiBenedetto gets a penalty anyway. So,
Yeah, I know. So what are you gonna do?
speaking of cars flying through the air, James, Kurt Busch took a hell of a ride.
Kurt Busch did take a hell of a ride.
Then Cole Custer becomes the new Ryan Newman by being underneath Kurt Busch.
Yeah,
this is Kurt Busch's second airborne attempt at Talladega, this time right in front of the fans.
Yeah, that was a good one, right at the start-finish line.
Yeah.
It got me out of my seat a little bit, and that was after Eric Almirola. He got off the ground 4 or 5 feet.
Yep. Well, Kyle Busch too. Kyle
Yeah.
Busch
Oh
was
yeah,
airborne
KB
as well.
did. Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, that was a. Every time we see the cars go flipping, I'm like, ooh.
Well, he didn't
Yeah.
flip.
Well,
Never turned
I-
over.
He did. He did have the blowover effect. He just didn't go all the way over.
The wheels
Yeah.
stayed down, James. The wheels stayed down.
Well, your definition of down and mine might be different. The wheels were somewhere.
the wheels were lower than the roof.
That's
Let's
true.
put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it was a wild race. It's funny because everybody talks about this race. It's the wild card race. Anything can happen. Blah 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 blah. And then it becomes a crash fest, and everybody goes, "Man, this is a crash fest. This is stupid. Why are we doing this?"
Yeah, I know.
Make
Yeah.
up your minds, people. I think this is great. I don't care to see the whole field torn up. I'm a big fan of the green white checker rule and the fact that we have unlimited attempts. But after the second attempt, I'm like, come on, guys, just hold it together
get
to
it-
the white flag. Let's get to the
the
end
white
of this
flag,
thing.
please.
Especially when
Yeah.
they switch us off of NBC to NBC
Oh,
Sports.
my
Thank God I was watching this thing live. I would have been so ticked off.
NASCAR sent out their reasons why they had to do it, and I just laughed. Start the race earlier, you
Uh-huh.
idiots. I'll say it, you bunch of idiots.
Exactly.
Put it to NBCSN to make the fans ticked off. Now, if you're watching it like I do on the app, it doesn't matter. So,
Right. Freaking,
just-
oh, God forbid we push the local news back and then maybe eat into Sunday night. 2 hours of freaking pregame for Sunday Night Football. It doesn't start till 9:30 at night.
I mean,
God's
I know there's a
sakes.
presidential election going on, and we have to hear every word from everybody on it. So, by God, yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
One of the things from the race that you and I maybe had a little bit of a laugh about was Joey Logano, and I texted you like, man, he really doesn't give a damn anymore.
No, he doesn't.
He-
every
He's just like
every
everybody
time
hates me anyway.
every time somebody makes a comment about how much they hate Joey Logano just gets worse.
Yeah, he races worse.
Yeah.
Like he drives like such a,
As Brett
A-hole.
Griffin says, he drives like a butthole.
he does.
It's totally
does.
true.
He does. I was like, holy crap, Joey. I was just amazed at some of the moves he was making out there. I was like, oh my God, dude.
I think we get a rule change before Daytona based on Scott Miller on Sirius talking about his concerns for the blocking. He was adamant the blocking has gone too far, and I think NASCAR is going to do something to try and police that. And they're not going to do something smart like figure out a way to change the aerodynamics so the closing rate's not as good. They're going to do something stupid like the push rule and start black flagging people for blocking. I guarantee it.
I think NASCAR will sit in their hands and let it go until
I don't know.
the next car. I just don't know how.
When they go on these shows, they have their talking points, and I think it leads you in the direction that they're going to go in the future. And he was
you might
pretty
be
heavy on
right.
that talking point.
Yeah, you might be right. You might be right.
They like to dip their toe in the water and warn fans a little bit.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Gosh, I'm trying to think of. I mean, there's so much action at this race.
There was a
I'm
lot in
trying to
this
think.
race. We had first of all, we had 3 cautions in the first 13 laps of the race.
Yeah, that was brutal. Yeah.
13 cautions total in this one, of course, which set a Talladega record. However, technically it didn't set a Talladega record because we had a competition caution and 2 stage breaks. So if you take those out, then we only had 9 cautions.
The Jeff Gluck terminology of non-natural cautions.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
or 10 cautions. I think the record was 11. So I think we would have had 10. But still, yeah. I mean, there was carnage in this race. We had big ones. Had great racing. We only got single file at one point during the race, and even that didn't last very long. I think you got what you come for at Talladega with this one. I think this one checked all the boxes for me. Even if you like the wrecks, even if you want to see a car get up in the air, you got all of it, man.
Yeah, you got a little bit of everything. Yeah, and I actually liked it when they strung it out just a little bit because you could. I mean, it really is a chess match.
Yeah.
So when it's getting down to those last 50 laps, guys are jockeying for position and trying to make things work. I mean, watching that bottom line get beat by the top line and trying to form up, I find that stuff fascinating. That these guys are constantly. I mean, they're not wasting a millisecond on the track trying to advance their position. It really is a chess match at 200 miles an hour for these guys.
It was interesting watching this one after the Xfinity race because the Xfinity cars obviously have a different aero package, different motor package. The Xfinity cars were in a position where they needed, if you went single file, you could keep it single file. People couldn't make runs on the other lane. Whereas the Cup Series, because of the closing rate, you were able to take 3 or 4 cars and get a line going on the bottom that could match the top line.
Yeah, if you stayed tight, yeah.
And that changed the race. Because the Xfinity race was in the hands of the guys leading until they broke up.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there's that video. We shared it together in our chat. But Brad Keselowski, that you talk about closing rate, that lap he ran, or he's just looks like a video game driving through the field. It's awesome.
Right.
Just go to his Twitter account if you want to see that. But it's cool to see how fast when you work the draft like he was working. It was pretty crazy.
Speaking of that, did you see the Xfinity race? The strategy that they were using to try and go out and get the fastest lap so they could qualify toward the front in the next race?
Yeah, I did.
That was
see
interesting. It's just leave it to these teams to come up with this stuff.
Yeah.
Always trying somewhere. I think within the next 2 years, well, I guess we'll have a new car, so it won't matter. If we were going to run this car much longer, we'd have the tandem back in the Cup Series because they're getting close.
They're getting there. They're starting to push again. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I remember playing the NASCAR, I don't know, 14 or 15 video game where they had group qualifying at the big tracks, and I would just get on somebody's bumper and I would just push all the way around the track because I could guarantee I'd get I'd get you the first or second starting spot. So
well, that's why we got rid of group qualifying on the super speedways, is because everybody waited on pit road because they didn't want to be the front of the line.
Oh, remember how bad that was?
God, and then they wouldn't get a lap.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to
stupid.
even revisit that. That was so bad.
You know, the thing was good in concept, but the teams just ruined it.
Oh, they do. They do everything like that.
I mean, that's their job. That's their job
Yep.
to do.
Yep.
All right, so let's look at this thing. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 38th place finish in a race that you kind of expect him to do well. He had trouble early. Eric Almirola, you mentioned him.
Yeah.
37th. Bummer of a day for him. Michael McDowell was one of my fantasy picks because
I had him on my bench.
he usually does well here, but not this time. Well,
Overheating, didn't even have a chance.
Yeah, I think I had him in Almirola, so I already had Almirola on the bench when McDowell had his trouble. So So, and it says overheating, but I think he was involved in an accident, which created the overheating issue.
Yeah, overheating is what ended up getting him.
I think you can pretty much say with anybody here that they were. I mean,
it's all crash. Yeah.
24th on down as accident or whatever, So we mentioned Denny Hamlin. Eric Jones manages a second place finish after
he's
the
pretty good
penalties
these
were dished
places
out.
too, huh?
Yeah, he's one to think about up front. Ty Dillon was right up there, close to getting himself a win.
Yeah, that would have been cool for
Wouldn't
that
it?
team.
Yeah.
William
Byron, Chase Elliott. Byron was sideways coming out of turn 4.
It was Eric, he had the run until he got sideways. I really thought he was going to steal that one.
Yeah, he was.
I was really happy with my pick going into turn 3. I'm like, oh crap, William Byron's actually going to do this.
Yeah.
And then he got tangled up but one hell of a save. I mean, that was Kyle Busch at Daytona type of save where he was skidding through the corner and he got it back going.
Right.
Incredible. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. Ryan Newman, 6th place finish. He's another one you can
Always
count
up
on
there,
being up
yep.
front. John Hunter had a good day, 8th place
Yeah.
for him. Brennan Poole.
Brennan Poole.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Justin Haley, 11th
Can
place
we-
finish.
Yeah, Eric, Justin Haley.
Yeah.
I mean,
We got to stop ragging on him, don't we?
yeah, we do. Yeah.
The kid managed another one, and this one was a legit Xfinity. This was a legit super speedway win in the Xfinity Series race. He didn't
And
luck
he
into
had
this
one.
one.
He had one taken away because of the yellow line rule
Yeah,
too.
he
the
did.
Xfinity Series, yeah.
Yep.
So he got to have one more in his. I mean, he's racking them up.
So, do you feel a little uncomfortable with them putting him in the same category as Dale Earnhardt?
Yes. Oh, don't even get me started.
He won 3 in a row, but he did it in the wrong series.
Not the right series. I don't want to
Come
hear
on,
about that.
guys.
Yeah.
That's
not
like
the same. I
that's
hate
like saying
that.
Kyle Busch was winning 200 races.
I hate that stuff so much. Oh, I hate it so much.
Yeah, that annoyed me. I wasn't down with that.
Good. I'm glad you finally. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was.
Yeah, I
mean, I
now.
think
Good.
I think Kyle Busch's accomplishment is legit in the
It's
number of races
incredible,
he's won,
yeah.
but it's not compared to Petty.
No, don't
I
put him up there with Petty.
No,
That's
it's different. Totally
Different.
different.
It's different.
So, all right. Anything else with this race we need to talk about?
I want to shout out Kyle Busch. I was texting you this, but I thought the race he ran until he
Yeah.
got taken out was one of the best pieces of driving Kyle Busch has ever put together.
We got beat.
He got beat, but KFB was no
KFB.
joke, Eric.
No, he wasn't. He did. I probably should have pulled the soundbite from him for his post-race interview.
Oh, he's
'cause
mad. Oh yeah, he was. Whew.
I hate being right, or I love being right, or something like that.
Yeah, I know.
Gotta love it. But
I know. He's already Eric. He's not winning a race.
no,
He's defeated, man. And if he's saying that all he wants to do is win a race to keep his streak alive, it's already over.
yeah,
He's already done.
I mean, it's Kyle Busch, so anything can happen. But he has not run well at the Roval, so I'm not expecting anything out of him this
Yeah,
weekend.
needs
He
to
won't
win.
be in my
Yeah,
fantasy
he's gotta-
lineup, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's got to win.
Yeah,
He's got to win. No
but
doubt about it.
He could be a good pick for us the rest of the season when he's out of the playoffs as a non-playoff
He's
pick.
gonna be really angry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. For sure.
All right, let's talk about points since we're at that point.
Do it. Yeah, let's do it.
The 4 drivers on the outside looking in: Kyle Busch 21 and Austin Dillon 21 back. Both of them are tied. Clint Boyer 38 back. Almirola 48 back. That's 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. We go to the Roval this weekend, and we will cut the final 4 or the last 4 out of that after that race. And I'm gonna go on a limb and say, James, and say this ain't gonna change.
Nobody's coming out unless it's Logano. Bowman's really good at the Roval. So I don't see him coming out. And Joey's got enough of a cushion. I don't see him going anywhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't
and
think
all these guys are good at the Roval. Truex, Elliott.
my thing
Keselowski.
with Logano isn't that he couldn't fall out. It's just that who in this final 4 is going to come up and take it from him.
Are you gonna make 21 points?
Right. That's the thing. Kyle and Austin are done. They're not. Those two aren't going to be able to do this. Again, it's Kyle Busch, so you never know. But
Yeah.
I don't see Kyle digging out of this unless he gets a win. Clint Boyer is probably the wild card because Clint is good on a road course.
Yeah.
But I don't see it happening with Clint either. I think Clint's checked out. I think at this point his lack of deal for next year is kind of the writing on the wall. I think Clint's just clicking him off for the rest of the season. So Brett Griffin made another comment on DBC this week that he's doesn't have a job for next year. So I think that's telling you something.
Yeah, Clint's comments during the race too really irritated me. By the way,
Yeah.
just he was saying some stuff, and I don't know. It's time to be done.
Right.
Yeah, I just as far as these points are concerned, though, Eric, I just don't know. I mean, I don't want to count Kyle Busch out, but really, this is it.
Yeah.
Back against the wall. His brother's going to be the reason he's out. His brother took him out.
Yep. 100%.
It's crazy.
So Denny Hamlin, Kurt Busch are both locked in with wins. Harvick 68 points to the good.
Virtually, yeah.
Yeah, even Chase Elliott 44, Keselowski 41. Those guys are pretty good.
Those guys are good. Yep.
Truex runs good at the Roval. He's 32 to the good. So really, you're looking at Bowman, Logano. Bowman's 22
good.
to the good, and Logano's 21 to the good.
Bowman's good here.
Yeah,
too.
I think those
So-
two stay pat. And Bowman, just got the announcement this week that he's going over to the 48 car. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but he's got some confidence this week.
Got some mojo. Yeah,
Yep.
got some mojo.
Yep. So, all right. Anything else with Talladega? I wanted to look here.
I'll miss you, Talladega.
Margin of victories 0.086 seconds. I'm curious if they're still considering the margin of victory between DiBenedetto and
They
Hamlin,
must. Yeah, they must be.
which is BS.
Yeah, I know.
Because that's not the margin of victory when the guy's 21st.
Yep. I know.
Yeah.
Oh well. What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna have to do some research on that because that annoys me. Where's Bromberg at?
Yeah, this is right up his alley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. We ran 54 laps under caution this race, James. 188.
That's a lot.
188 lap race. We ran 54 laps under caution.
27%?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's rough.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yep. All right. Let's talk some news. We don't have a whole lot, but there's a little bit. We found out. Well, I mean, it's been obvious that the Wood brothers have not renewed Matt DiBenedetto's contract for the 21 car. That doesn't mean he's out. There's still a chance that they could come up with a deal, put something together. It just means that they didn't take the option on his deal. They could be renegotiating, blah, blah, blah. But I think writing's on the wall. I think Cindric's going to be in this car, don't you think?
Yeah, Cindric or Briscoe, but probably Cindric. Yeah.
I think it's going to be Cindric. I think Briscoe is going to be in that
14.
In that 14 car. So
yeah, I hate it because Matt's been so close, and I think 2 wins in a row would have helped.
Yeah.
I just don't know. You know what? I want Matt to stay in that car. I like him. But after watching what happened to him at Bristol, the way he got taken to the woodshed on those restarts, I mean, he's good, not great.
Yeah.
So that's just my.
Here's the thing with Matt DiBenedetto. I mean, he has raced his entire career for his life.
Yes, he
and
has.
He got a good opportunity to race for his life this year, and he's underperformed. And
look what he's done. Look what he's done with this deadline looming.
Right?
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. If he'd run like this all year, I mean, he didn't have a bad year, but he didn't have a good year.
With COVID and stuff, I just wish he'd get one more year.
Yeah, but I mean,
if he got one more year, I think that would be enough. And if he didn't get it done in one more year with the Wood brothers, then we could say, we could put the nail in the coffin. But
you got Cindric. You got Cindric waiting in the wings. You can't.
It's hard.
Leave him sit there.
I know. You got to look at where a guy is a guy maxed out versus where the next guy is going to go. Where is that next guy going to elevate you? If Matt DiBenedetto's a B driver, can Cindric become an A for you and being a legit star? I don't know if that's going to be what Cindric's future is. I think he's got a nice career ahead of him. But yeah, if Matt's maxed out, then you got to make the move.
Austin Cindric should be in this ride for the same reason we've got 2 new teams starting next year, because you come in on the last year with this car and you get all those new team kinks worked out.
Yep.
And then you head into the next season with the new car, new attitude. Everybody's working together. Now you're golden. There's no reason at this point to wait an extra year and finish this car out. You get everybody in place this next year. It's the learning year, and then you're ready to go for 2022.
And everybody's going to be cutting budgets next year to just stay afloat. So I mean, I think, and with the new car, I really think competition's going to even up a little bit over the next few years. So
yeah, I agree.
Good opportunity. Yeah.
I think things are going to get really even with that new car.
And I think that's why you see Stuart Haas bringing up Cole Custer. I mean, they could have got a bigger name for that seat, but they got him on the cheap. He's a rookie, and look at what he did. He made the playoffs, won a race.
Yeah.
He's getting valuable seat time.
Let's not forget, we discussed it a couple weeks ago, that these guys are dominating the Xfinity Series right now, but no offense to the guys in the Xfinity Series, but it is not the same Xfinity Series that it has been the last couple years.
Yeah, you lost some talent in that series.
There's definitely a different talent level than it used to be.
No, so. That being said,
they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Exactly. Yeah. Chase Briscoe is doing everything he said he wanted to do. He wanted to go win 8 races, and by God, he did.
Yeah. So I think 100% both those guys deserve a riding cup. At this
point, they're ready.
At this point, they've done what they need to do in the Xfinity Series. It's time to move them up. So I think we'll see both of them up here next year.
It's hard, Eric, because the musical chairs are. I mean, there's not as many good chairs anymore.
Yeah, but maybe we'll have a couple new ones in the next couple years. So maybe there's opportunities for them.
Hopefully,
we'll talk more about that in a minute. We hinted at it already. Alex Bowman is the new driver of the 48 car with Ally sponsorship for 2021. Replaces Jimmy Johnson. He's got Jimmy's approval. Leaves the 88 car hanging out there for somebody or nobody or Kyle Larson.
Well, we know who's getting the 88 at this point.
There's no doubt, right? I
No,
mean,
it's a
nobody is
Chevy.
even questioning anymore that Kyle Larson's going to be in that car.
No, it's a car that is not. You don't need to bring sponsorship to that car. It's funded
Right.
through partnerships and everything else. And Kyle Larson's already kissing the hands of General Motors to get back in the seat.
And that's
So,
100% why Alex Bowman went over to the 48, because he's going to be in the Ally car. Ally doesn't have
got
to deal with
sponsorship.
Larson.
Yep.
Yep.
I
there you go.
really thought Eric Jones had a shot at this seat, but the longer it stretched out, Eric, it became inevitable that Bowman was going to take one of these seats, either keep the 88 or move to the 48, and it just made sense.
I'm worried about Eric Jones.
Me too, man. But he says he's got something within the next 2 weeks.
And here's
so.
the thing. Eric Jones is still talking about Cup. You see other drivers like Corey LaJoie and Ty Dillon saying, I wouldn't be too upset to go back in the Xfinity Series and reprove myself down there. That kind of shows me the guys who don't have something set and the guys that do.
Yeah, he's got something in the works. I just hope it's I hope
it's not the JTG car.
Yeah, well, I know, me too. After what we're gonna talk about here in a minute.
Yeah.
Eric Jones got stuck. He got stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yep. Yeah, but again, I mean, he's in the same situation that DiBenedetto is in. He had a chance to prove himself, and at this point, if you can't prove yourself, you're not going to get 3-4 years to do it anymore, unless you're William Byron. Unless you're driving a Hendrick car, you're not going to get the opportunity.
Elliott or William Byron. Yep.
Yeah,
Alex Bowman.
Hendrick still has the old style of let's grow him into the team, and it's hurt him for the past few seasons, but I think he's benefiting from it now.
Yeah.
And, JGR is you perform now or you're out. Yeah,
JGR goes and gets the superstar names.
Yep.
They go get Carl Edwards, they go get Matt Kenseth.
Yep.
And Toyota's got
you know who JGR is, James?
They're the Yankees, man.
They're the Yankees. They're the Lakers, man. They get the big names. That's
what they do.
Yep.
That's what they do.
So I can't believe you went with Yankees over Lakers. I was teeing you up.
The Yankees are more
teeing you up with a basketball reference. Oh, yeah, just because you're a Lakers fan.
You don't want Red Wings for you.
Well, not anymore. Not anymore. Back before the salary cap.
Yeah.
Before the salary cap, the Red Wings were the Yankees of hockey for sure.
Yeah, no, the Yankees go and get more names than anybody.
Yeah.
They're even more so than the Lakers, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, you did tee me up. I threw you a curve. Sorry, man.
All right, new Cup Series team next year, and it's not the Michael Jordan team. This one is Justin Marks starting a new Cup Series team, Trackhouse Racing.
Yeah.
And Daniel Suarez is going to be the driver.
I kind of like this one.
Yeah.
I don't know how good they're going to be. They seem to think that they're going to be pretty competitive, but Eric, there's not going to be a whole lot of new chassis being built next year, so good time to make a try. Yeah. Yeah,
definitely. So it's interesting here because the charter situation, and we shouldn't care about charters at this, it shouldn't be something that we have to worry about. It shouldn't be something fans care about, but it's important. And so apparently they're getting Spire has a third charter, and they're going to lease the charter to Justin Marks. Supposedly the charter came from JTG.
The 37 car, yes.
But
that's according to Jennifer Fryer.
Right. So Spire owned that charter and leased it to JTG this year?
That's what I understand it as, yeah.
Because my understanding was you couldn't lease a charter for more than 1 year.
These charters, dude, I
know.
They hurt my brain.
Yeah, it's stupid. So anyway, the rumor is the JTG might lose a charter, which a lot of people are saying could potentially be an Eric Jones issue because that could be where Jones is going. Although I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the 43 car either, possibly.
Yeah, 1 year. Yeah, 1 year deals maybe. If I'm Eric Jones, I'm taking a 1 year deal.
Everybody's getting 1 year deals right now. There ain't nobody that's going to get a 2 year deal.
No, and Eric Jones is a big price tag too. He's expensive.
You would think.
So. Yeah, it's interesting. Good for Daniel Suarez. Hopefully this is something that he can get in for 3 or 4 years and stick around because he's definitely a talented driver. He's had his opportunities and they haven't worked out. But if he can do a homegrown type of thing, build this team up, I mean that would be a pretty good accomplishment for him.
Yeah, Yep, and, it's another team in the Cup Series. Hopefully, it's a competitive team. I think certainly come 2022, they will be potentially. Sounds like this one will be a RCR affiliated team, basically working out of the campus of RCR. So, kind of filling the Germain Racing slot, I guess.
Yep, and RCR and Hendrick are teaming up on the motors now too. So
that's true. We don't have that in the notes, but that's a good
Yep.
point. About time, you know.
Yeah, Chevrolet needs that.
Every other manufacturer's doing it. Why not Chevrolet?
You got to. Yeah, you have to. It just makes sense. It'll only make Hendrick better. I think Hendrick's going to see a lot of improvement there, and RCR too.
Yep. And then our big news of the week, James.
Yeah, no, I didn't even put a link to it. I just put it in there.
Hailie Deegan's making her Truck Series debut at Kansas.
Yep, she's here.
Whoopity do. I'm sorry. I was really high on Hailie at the first, but I'm kind of. It's not Hailie's fault. She's young. She's just it's not her political opinion that bothers me. It's just the way she's expressed her political opinion.
Yeah,
that
she's
has really
young.
bothered
She's got
me.
a long way. She's got a long way to go.
But it doesn't surprise me because her dad is the same way. Her dad is outspoken, doesn't care what people think. So I guess good on Hailie for not caring what people think and saying what she believes and whatever. I just think that when you call coronavirus a hoax.
Yeah, it's not that.
Whatever.
But I do hope she gets to the Cup Series someday. I mean, I think she's going to be a nice, a nice marketing piece and halfway decent. I mean, she's got a chance to be better than Danica Patrick. So I think that is a really good goal for her.
It's not a giant goal, but it's a good goal.
Well, I know she and shame on me for doing that. I mean, because it's the easy thing to do is compare her to Danica. But if she's going to be a decent driver, regardless of gender, I think she can. I think she could probably wheel a little bit. So let's see what she can do in the Truck Series and Xfinity Series here in the next couple of years.
One thing to keep in mind is she's going to run a truck. It's first time in the truck series. She's going to do it with no practice, no qualifying. First time in the truck, going into turn one. So everybody have the right expectations for her. She's not going to go out and win this race, but
and Ford's put a lot into her still. Ford is doing an investment here to get her going. So
I wish her all the success in the world, whether I'm in her camp or not anymore. It's better for the sport if she does good. So she was a big pop in name recognition a year ago. This year with COVID, I think it's really knocked her down a little bit. So I'd love to see her make some little bit of waves, make a splash. Go out there and get a top 10. That would be fantastic. Yeah,
heck, a top 15. Top 15 would be a win. So let's see what you can do.
There you go. Any news I missed?
I think we're good, bud.
All right, let's talk next race. Bank of America Roval 400. It's Roval time, James.
Yep.
Last week did not go well for you in the picks.
Nope.
I had Brad Keselowski. It didn't go well for me either, James.
Yeah, we both wrecked out. There was one time where all four picks were in the top four.
Yeah. So I had Brad Keselowski who finished 18th, but James went with Joe Logano who finished 26th. So I got the point there. And then James went with Ryan Blaney who finished 25th. And I went with Matt DiBenedetto who finished 2nd or 21st. Either way, still beat James.
Didn't matter. Yep.
41 to 31 after 31 races, James.
Yep, I'm in trouble, bud.
Yeah.
I just cannot recover from the Michigan debacle. So it's
yeah.
We'll see what I can do, but I don't know.
You get the first pick this week, so you have a pretty easy one. I probably could put the name down for you, but who's your pick for the Roval?
Yeah,
now here, wait, before you do it.
I'm taking it. I'm taking Chase.
Let's take into consideration that we are very likely to see rain at the Roval this weekend in both days.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Very likely.
I'm still going to take Chase.
Take Chase Elliott? Yeah, you can't take anybody but Chase Elliott, right?
Yeah, you got to take him at the Roval. He's any road course, I got to take Chase.
Let me pull up the right window here.
There's a lot of decent drivers, though, man. I know we only have 2 races in the books, but Bowman's good. Boyer's good, like you said. Blaney, obviously, he's got the other win. So, yeah, that's where I fall.
I am just going to go the easy route, and I'm picking Harvick. He's got nothing to lose.
Yeah, you're in good shape. So, and if Kevin Harvick gets top 10s the rest of the year, he will have 30 on the season.
There you go.
Incredible.
It is incredible. All right. Non-playoff. Blaney's out of the playoffs, right? I can pick
Blaney's out of the playoffs. You can take Blaney.
I'll take Blaney.
That's
That's my throwaway easy pick.
Yeah, I like that one. I'll take Jimmy Johnson here.
It's a good one.
He should have won the first dang one
Yeah.
of these, but
What do you think?
there you go.
Cheering for rain this weekend?
No, I just want to see a clean race. I'm not a fan of rain.
I want to see a mix. I want to see a wet track that they have to switch between dry and wet. Those are the best races. It's that point of knowing when to go to the dry tires that I love.
Right.
That's my favorite part of it.
The rain doesn't interest me at all. I'm not somebody who cares to see it. So
yeah, I'm glad I'm not.
Run it clean.
I'm glad I'm not supposed to be there. I certainly wouldn't want to sit through one. But
for sure, yeah.
We've never seen a rain race in the Cup Series. It's time, man. It's time. I don't know if the Roval's the place to do it though, but the problem is
the Roval's so good.
The best track for rain would be Sonoma, and
it ain't ever gonna rain out there.
It's never gonna rain there, but we do have Road America now, so I bet you there's a better chance we're gonna see some rain in the Cup Series.
Yeah, for sure. Coming
forward.
up the next couple of years. Yeah, absolutely.
So, Fantasy League, James. I know I did terrible.
Yeah, we all were terrible.
Yeah, everybody's numbers were really low.
Yeah, Jay Wynn actually had a really good race for considering he won with 174, and then Ranger and Justin 713 were the top three. I was straggling in fourth. Playoff standings, I did get past Todd, so I lead the playoffs 903 to 877, and then Denny the Many is third. And overall standings, the top three remain unchanged: Todd, Ranger, Runyon, and me. But Denny the Many is nipping at my heels, so the podium is up for grabs.
Nice.
So there you go. There's your fantasy update.
Nice. You got any shout outs this week?
Yeah, one quick one. He'll never hear this, but Marty Smith's producer for his podcast, Travis Rockhold.
Okay.
I'm going back and forth with him a little bit on Twitter, having some conversations. So
nice.
Yeah, he's a nice dude. He's pretty good on the podcast. We had a conversation over Jack Daniels today. So
nice.
That's my 1 degree of separation from Marty Smith. So there you go.
There you go. That's great. I am trying really hard. I've been trying all day to remember what my shout out was. There was something I learned this week, James.
The download?
Oh, I remember what my shout out was supposed to be. We talked about it. I think we talked about it last week. Race Hub had behind the scenes of Days of Thunder.
Days of Thunder, yeah, we did talk about that. Yeah,
and now what in the hell was it? There was something I learned in that. I can't remember, but go check it out. I think it was.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch it yet.
I think it was Wednesday and Thursday last week.
Yeah, 2-parter. Yep.
Thursday, Friday. I don't remember, but there was something in there that they talked about that I was like, "Oh wow! Oh, I know what it was. The wreck scene on the backstretch at Daytona."
Yeah,
was not at Daytona.
Yeah, I sent you a link on that.
Yeah,
yes.
you did. You did.
Yes.
They actually constructed the backstretch on airport runway. Near
they want to ruin the racing surface,
which was good because the car actually hit the catch fence.
Yes, it did,
and tore a section of the catch fence out. So
yes, it did. That's an awesome wreck, by the way.
Very interesting. And by the way, the car that flipped was not controlled by a robot. There was a stunt driver in that car.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's great.
So it was pretty good. I've seen lots of behind the scenes stuff from Days of Thunder, but there was some new stuff in that one. I really liked it.
Yep.
So
yeah, I can't wait. I've got it somewhere. Once I get a chance.
Yeah, it was good. So, it's nice and short. I mean, it was probably a total of like 10, 15 minutes total between the two episodes, but it's worth a watch for sure.
Cool. I'm in.
All right, James, if people want to reach out to you on social media, how can they find you?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find past episodes, links to the show notes, which have links to all the articles we talk about, except for the ones that we don't put enough effort in to put the link in, such as Haley Deegan and whatnot. Check that out, thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast there. Find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and SoundCloud. And if you want to become a part of the show and help us out, you can do so at patreon.com/thesuperspeedway. James, before we go, how's the baby?
Doing good, actually. Yeah, she's just giving us a hard time at night. So
getting a little sleep at least?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
Pretty
but,
slow to respond on the text messages about whether we're podcasting or not. I'm just,
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
just
I'm
saying.
hanging in there. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. No.
I used to get messages from James like at 7:00 in the morning and like super early.
Yeah,
Like
it's
I'd wake
rough,
up
dude.
and there's be a text message from him. That ain't
No.
happening right now.
We're just trying to survive.
Instead,
Yeah.
I get messages after I go to bed from him now.
I know it's terrible.
funny.
I know it's all backwards. Sorry, man, but yeah, she's doing good. Family's good. Everybody's doing great.
Good deal. Good deal.
Yep.
All right, we go to Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend. It's the Bank of America Roval 400 Sunday, 2 p.m., 2:30 on NBC. Xfinity Series in action this weekend as well. The Drive for the Cure 250, presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina.
Wow.
There's a race title for you. 3:30 p.m. on NBC on Saturday. We'll be back next week to discuss it all. Talk about the who made it to the round of 8 and break down the whole thing from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.